Cool. All right. Well, welcome. Yes, we'll get started. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys for being here and for being curious, right? Like we are living in a time where I don't know, it feels like we're being bombarded with a lot of different stuff from different industries and whatnot. And so I just appreciate your curiosity and yeah, for you showing up for this. So let's see. So you are in the right place if you're curious about plant medicine. I know it's kind of been in the news or it's been a very popular topic of interest. And so if you're curious and if you're especially curious about how it can help us tap into our body's innate healing ability, our bodies are the most advanced technology we have, and there's a very synergistic relationship between the two. Um, if you're curious about plant medicine, but you're not necessarily like wanting to take a full journey or really like go the full distance with it, microdosing is a really great start to build a relationship with the medicine. If you are desiring a deeper connection with yourself, but you don't know how to access it, I felt that way for the longest time. I felt like I was severed at the neck. I felt like I was living from my head and I could not access my body's wisdom no matter how hard I tried. If you're looking for creative, to enhance your creativity or your mental clarity, if you are looking to kind of go into some emotional processing but still want to feel grounded, you're in the right place. And if you value both spirituality and science, right? I always call myself a bridge between the two because I really truly feel like they speak the same language in different ways. And I think both are very necessary in our life, right? We need our masculine, our science, we need our feminine, our spiritual, our abstract, our mystical. So microdosing falls right in the middle for me there. So I don't know if you can hear my dog, but he's freaking out over here. So what we're just going to go over tonight is my own story with plant medicine and microdosing, a lot of the science and brain chemistry stuff behind microdosing and how it can help your life. Some myths or just some common questions that I hear about microdosing. For me, the top 5 keys to a successful microdosing practice, and then how we can actually embody those changes and integrate them into our lives. And then I will go over the program that I offer, the container for microdosing and group work with a special offer. And then we'll just have like a little Q&A at the end. Sound good?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So you guys know me, Karen, you don't. So I just wanted to include this about who I am. I am a holistic wellness coach, a psychedelic facilitator, and a microdosing mentor. So I have my own business, and I also work a few days a week at the first legal psychedelic therapy clinic here in St. Pete, Bionic Bloom. There we do more larger doses, and it's been really, really cool and validating to see the therapeutic and healing effects of psychedelics and plant medicines there. But really, my main goal is to help others access your body's innate intelligence. Like I said, it's our most advanced technology. To help you break through limitations and to unlock your fullest potential. So I love to, like I've touched on this already, love to bridge both science and evidence-backed research and findings, also with the unseen, with the spiritual aspect of things, with the ancient wisdom, because these plant medicines have been around for thousands of years, and so there is very much a scientific yet mystical era about them. And yeah, and it's not just about experiencing the plant medicine. I would argue that the integration aspect is probably more important, as well as the preparation for all of it, because we can get downloads and insights and all this creativity from working with plant medicine, but if we can't actually integrate it into our lives and make changes, then we're kind of just spinning our wheels. Like a lot of the self-help things that I've gone through personally, where it's like you know what to do, but you just can't do it. Cool. All right. So a little bit of background on just like my story and I guess how I got into all of this. I went to Catholic school for all of my life. I went to Catholic university all of my life. I am extremely grateful for that upbringing and the values that it taught me. I do think that there was a bit of separation between how they personified God almost. Like I felt like I was left with this void in my heart, like searching for something outside of myself and feeling like I was striving for something. I couldn't find something. There was always a missing piece in my life. And I held a lot of shame, that I was a sinner or I wasn't good enough. And so that caused me to project God onto food and alcohol and even marijuana at times. And again, like I just felt severed between my body and my mind and my body. I was dissociative. I was just striving, trying to be this perfect human. And again, just like manifesting as disordered eating and all these different cycles that I was able to intellectualize and kind of understand what I was doing, maybe even understand why I was doing it. But again, like I could not bring change into my life. I could not break these cycles into my everyday life. I remember when I was like 20 years old, I saw a documentary about DMT or like psychedelics on Netflix. And I remember like, I will never forget that moment. And I could cry now just feeling like, oh my goodness, like there's so much potential in consciousness, like in their ability to expand our consciousness and healing. And I remember talking to my advisor, my psychology advisor in her office about the potential of this. And I honestly never thought I would be where I am today. I didn't know that like this transition would happen this quickly where we're actually using them in a therapeutic setting. But I always intuited that there was a power behind using psychedelics and plant medicine. And when I was able to finally experience it myself, it did confirm that there's more to life. Like I had felt connected to God. I had felt connected to nature. I did not feel like I was just disconnected and isolated and like that feeling of like, why am I here? And so yeah, it's just really it's been a journey, and I've really found a lot of nervous system regulation and balance with microdosing. It's definitely more subtle than the larger doses that I've done, but it's just as impactful, and it's honestly like easier to integrate those experiences too, because it's an everyday thing. It's in our daily lives. It's not this big fleeting experience. It's every day we're making the choice to show up and make little changes that add up over time. Um, and yeah, now it's my passion, and I'm here to normalize them as tools that we can use for healing and transformation. So yeah, there I am. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, I'm just like not there in that one picture, and just some updated pics. I'm happy, I'm thriving. I was an exhibitor at a psychedelic convention a few months ago, so that was fun. So yeah, and just giving like a background on plant medicines. I mean, if you go to your cabinet or your counter or your medicine cabinet, you're gonna see herbs and plants in most of your medicines. At least hopefully. Now it's hard to tell. They are usually mixed with some fillers or some synthetic chemicals. But plants and herbs were literally the first medicines, and of course their essences have properties, right? Like if you go have some turmeric, it helps lower depression. Um, and I truly believe they are just more than substances. They are sacred allies. They have been used for millennia by indigenous tribes all over the world for their healing abilities, for their ability to connect us to the divine. They really found that the first evidence of psychedelic mushrooms go as far back as 10,000 BCE, which is pretty incredible. And they were used by the Aztecs and the Mayans as sacraments before the Spanish came. But then, of course, like Christianity was using wine as their sacrament, so it just kind of flipped the script. But it was used as a sacrament for a very long time. And I really think when they're used with reverence and intention, almost like a sacrament, they are so helpful in helping us expand our consciousness and our awareness. And again, reconnect us back to earth, reconnect us back to our true nature, beyond the rational mind. And as females, like I'm telling you, I feel like mushrooms are so feminine. They're so for moms and females because of that. Our strength is the abstract. Our strength goes beyond the rational mind. Like we kind of have to play this part in our masculine society of like structure, linear systems, practicality. But if we really allow ourselves to soften into our body and into our feelings and into our intuition, that is really where our superpower lies. And I've found that that's really helped me tap into that part of myself. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'll just keep rolling. Okay, cool. So, some signs you're being called if you feel like you were maybe where I'm at, where you're going to coach, you're going to talk therapy, you're doing coaching, you're taking medications, but you still feel kind of stuck and you don't really know why. You're in looping patterns. If you feel like your intuition is on fire, like I said, if you're a female and your intuition is on fire, you want to be out in nature, you're being called to the earth, you're feeling like there's just something more inside yourself that's waiting to come out. You might be being called to plant medicine. If you feel a deeper call in work or in life in general, or if there's just something that you can't access, that might be a sign. If you're looking for natural alternatives, if you're on medications and you are looking for something more natural and less addictive or has less side effects, you could be getting the call. And we'll go into it later too. If you feel like you have energetic or emotional breakthroughs that you're ready to face, or you're ready to let go of things, if you feel stuck in that way, plant medicines are really good for that, especially with the proper container. So you might be calling that way. Or if you just keep hearing about it and you think, okay, that might be for me, or I want to see what's possible, I'm curious, right? So, okay. So why are we up here? So what is microdosing? It is taking a very small subperceptual amount of a psychedelic. In this case, I work closely with psilocybin mushrooms to enhance our cognitive, emotional, and spiritual benefits without triggering full hallucinogenic effects. And so you can still go to work, you can still function. It honestly just makes you feel a little bit more grounded and present. And I like to call it a multivitamin for the nervous system. A lot of clients and a lot of people that microdose tend to say the same thing, which is like, it makes me feel more grounded and present and calm and focused and not as reactive. And just so you know how the science behind it works, psilocybin is the active ingredient in mushrooms, and it becomes psilocin in our body, which activates our 5-HTA receptor in our brain, which increases the communication between regions of the brain. It helps neuroplasticity, growing new neural pathways, helps us go inward, and helps with emotional release. And this is one of my favorite picks because I don't know if you've seen Fantastic Fungi, or if you've seen like the mycelium network under the trees. It's like the most fascinating thing. It's like the original internet. It's how trees communicate and send nutrients to each other. And it looks exactly like our neuronal network in our brain, which also magnifies as the cosmic web. So really, truly, like the microcosm, we are a reflection of the macrocosm. Cool. So not to get too sciencey, but I do have to say I am very analytical and, again, intellectual by nature. So I always like to know the why and the how. So I figured I would include the science. But it has been found to, I don't know if this is like, I think this will be blocking. Let me see if I can move this. Cool. Okay, so if you look at the right, this is a picture of a placebo study and the brain with placebo and the brain with psilocybin. And so it has been found to increase neuroplasticity and to connect the two brain hemispheres and to make connections that weren't there before. People often experience like tasting colors or feeling sounds or seeing smells, and that is more with a larger dose, but it's just very interesting how it kind of lights the brain up with with its intake. And even with microdosing, it's been found to help with neuroplasticity. And I think the biggest thing with and how it allows us to make changes is it rewires the brain's default mode network. And so I'm sure you guys have heard it, like we only are operating out of 5% of our conscious brain every day, right? 95% of the iceberg is unconscious patterns, behaviors, We're, especially when we get older, we're just kind of like going through the motions. And so it allows us to create new pathways and new ways of being. And so I have here, if it's a garden, stress and trauma can allow some trails to be overgrown. Like we just totally don't use those pathways. And so we end up using other pathways. And obviously, the more we use the trail or the road, the easier it gets. That means that those neuronal pathways are more myelinated. So they're just really easy to just keep doing and keep doing. But when we microdose, we actually have the ability, an easier way of creating, like picking out the weeds of those old pathways or creating new trails to go down, especially when we're integrating it with actual change too. And so this is really helpful with rigid thinking. For me, like the compulsive eating pattern that was like, why, like conscious, I don't want to do this, unconsciously I keep doing it. So things that you feel like you're stuck in, it's very helpful in helping getting unstuck in those patterns. The other way, I think the other thing that's really, really cool about it, it reduces blood flow to our amygdala, which is the region of the brain that is our fear and our threat center. So honest to God, like most of us are kind of in survival mode throughout the day because we are just wired that way, right? Our ancestors were wired to scan for lions and bears and whatnot, and so we are biologically hardwired to be in survival mode. It's very hard to come back into like, I'm safe, everything's fine. So most of the time our amygdalas are way overactive. So it does have, and that's probably why many people who take it report that sense of groundedness, that sense of calmness, because they're not like in survival mode. They are able to take the gas pedal off and be more present and be more in alignment. And like I said too, it hits those 5-HTA receptors. And so I've had clients taper off SSRIs, and yeah, it's a really good alternative for depression and anxiety these days. So again, yeah, just good for obsessive thinking, rigid thinking, helps us be more mindful, really helps with meditations, and less reactive. And I kind of have touched on this already, but it's really great for emotional processing. And so this kind of goes back in with like my personal experience, just to give you guys like examples. I thought I was like out thinking like, I don't know. I was like, thought I had like a life hack in life where I'm like, all right, cut it off here. I don't have to feel, I don't have to have emotion. I don't have to process that. I can just compartmentalize and keep pushing through. And that is not how life works. We have to process emotions. We have to release them. We have to get them out of our body. They are literally, I'm sure you guys have heard at this point about like the body keeps the score. It's 1,000% true. Our body is holding on to so much emotion, and you can see it even too in our posture and the way that we move. We can tell like when we have stagnant and stuck emotions, and so it does a really good job of bringing those things to the surface, but in a very kind and compassionate way. Like, hey, have you noticed that like you are feeling lonely in this moment, right? Like I open the fridge to eat. Hey, like you're feeling lonely, you're feeling sad, like, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, I'm experiencing a feeling, and that's why I'm doing this unconscious thing. And that's also why having like a guide or a coach or people to support you in this process is important, because it can be like a lot of emotional processing. Not always, but if that's your intention, it can definitely come up. And this is one of my favorite over here. This graph or this picture is one of my favorite examples of blending science and spirituality. And so they were actually able to measure the frequency of certain emotions using kinesthetic testing, so like muscle testing. And guilt, shame, fear, apathy, like all those like states of emotion are truly the lowest states of emotion you could be in. And so we can't move up that scale unless we release those. And it's unbelievable how much like we're holding on to shame. Like that was really, know how much shame I had, and until like I understood, oh my God, I'm like literally just living in shame. And we have to release those to move up. And they always say, right, like raise your vibration. But it has been scientifically proven, like, everything is a frequency, everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. And so it really is about finding ways to just be in alignment with higher frequencies, and like attracts like. And so once you start to get up there, you'll start to attract those similar things. Cool. Any questions? All right, cool. Myth number one. So demystifying microdosing. These are some things that I just hear back from all the time, or hear from people. Yes, it can be used as a recreational drug. Mushrooms can be used as a recreational drug. I will never call it a drug, and I will never use it in like a recreational setting of like going to a music festival or a party or something. To me, it's very sacred and medicinal. And yes, like, and I don't mean to paint the picture of like it's all emotional processing, it's all hard, because you can very much have like this. I mean, I've had many very euphoric and joyous and happy experiences with it. But for me, it's not like the point. For me, it's like, what's blocking me? What insights can I gain? How can I get clarity on my purpose? And how can I continue to evolve here on Earth? And sometimes you hear about like these maybe with the larger doses, like the scary, like I had a bad trip, or someone had a scary experience. Set and setting is so crucial. Like if you're taking it at a music festival, or if you're taking it with strangers or in this crowd where you don't know people, I don't think you're going to have the best experience, right? Like that would give me very much anxiety, even though I'm familiar with the medicine. That wouldn't feel right for me. But if you're taking it, whether microdose or larger dose, with intention, with a why, if it's a larger dose, if you've got like your eye shades and your curated headset with somebody there watching you, like it's much different. And in that case, they don't always think you can have a bad trip. I think truly like the medicine shows you what you need to see, even though it might be uncomfortable. And it's not like I used to use alcohol to escape. It's not like alcohol or other drugs. We're using it to escape from life. It's about, again, facing what we've been avoiding, facing what needs to be alchemized, so that we can get past it. We can get past the blocks. And a lot of the time that is, again, repressed emotions or shadow work. Like, where am I holding on to? Where am I repressing parts of myself? Where am I holding on to shame? How can I release that so I can continue to be more myself, show up with more authenticity? Myth number two. So we've kind of touched on this. I'll breeze through this one. It makes you high. It doesn't. They say it's subperceptual, which means you don't notice it. But I do think that you are able to notice it on a very small level, maybe, again, just like groundedness or energy or focus or whatever that looks like. But you don't ever get the hallucinogenic effects or the visuals. So you can take it, go to work, be productive. And just so you have an idea on like the timing of what that looks like. So about 30 minutes in, you'll start to maybe feel it, maybe not. Honestly, everybody's different. And that's when your brain is working on new programming. And so it's really great if you do pair it up with an activity, with work, with movement, with something that's going to help you get the most benefits out of that. We're journaling, right? Meditation, self-reflection. And again, you can just take it and go about your normal day. But I really truly think everything in life just boils down with, the amount of intention you put into things. And then after 3 hours, it's usually you're kind of back to normal. I get this one all the time, and I get people inquiring thinking that it's a magic pill, and it is not. And it's not a quick fix. And again, like, you might feel like energy and focus, but you also have to be able to do other work to help with that process. It's a tool, it's not the whole solution. And it's also gradual. A lot of people will feel like the first week, like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on fire. And yes, that's true, but it's also about the long game and about being consistent over time and how you engage with the process. And it's not always necessarily about the medicine itself, too. I always say it's like, you are your own best medicine. Your body is the most advanced technology, and the medicine just happens to work with your system and shows you what's possible or shows you what's already within you. And again, we'll go over integration more, but yes, we'll get insights, we'll get creative downloads. We have to be able to bring that into our life with coaching or nervous system stuff, journaling, breath work, whatever that looks like, movement, actually doing the steps, aligned action. Okay, so I have 5 keys for a successful protocol. Key number 1, intention. I don't know if you can see that. The power of intention. So our intention, again, everything in life, I'm sure you all know this, right? Like things are amplified when we put intention and prayer and whatever it is into what we're doing. If we're doing something mindlessly, we're not going to get as much as if we're cooking. Like even when we're like if we're cooking like putting love and intention into that meal. There's a difference between like mindlessness and intention. So it's like a compass or a GPS of where we want to go, how we want to feel, who we want to be. It's our why. So if things get tough or if we're having a plateau, it's like, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, that's why. And it's just aligns everything, our thoughts, our emotions, and our desired outcomes. And so a lot of people do microdose without an intention, or they just take the supplement and it's like kind of directionless and you're not going to get as much out of it, in my opinion. So yeah, I just had some simple reflection questions, like what do you want to improve? What is your why? How's your physical health? What emotions or patterns are you ready to shift? And then just some examples down there, like whether it's tapering off medications, opening your heart to connect more, bringing safety into your body and nervous system is a really great one. Creativity, I hear so much, so many of my clients will comment on like unlocking creativity and like feeling like creative like a kid, which is cool. Key number 2, what do I have here? Consistency. So it's like a gym. Perfect example. If you go to the gym one time, you're not going to see the results. If you go to the gym consistently, you're going to see better results. And the more you do it, the faster results you'll see. And so a protocol is really good, like a structure. I usually do like 3 days on, 2 days off, or 4 days on, 2 days off. And the days off are really important just for integrating the insights that we get. And also just not to build our tolerance up. It gives us our systems a break. And usually there's like an afterglow from it. Like I still will feel it in the days following as well. And again, it's just, everything's an opportunity to tune into your body and the subtleties of what's happening with and without it. It's really good to track your experience, right? We can't really know, like, I think we can sense that it's helping us, but it makes it even more potent if we're like journaling or, little check-ins on mood or energy levels. I always like ask my friends and family, like, have you noticed any difference, right? Like, how are we showing up in the world? People will tell us. And again, I feel like I can't talk about it enough. We'll integrate it with, different habits or practices, moving, learning new skills, taking advantage of that new neural plasticity. Connection. This one is one of the biggest things I get from plant medicine is connection. And like my story, I just felt so disconnected from my body, from myself, from a higher power. Was I think just the root of most of my problems was like just feeling isolated and alone. So yeah, use it as a way to connect with everything. Connect with the medicine. Like it's a little plant. It's a little plant spirit, right? Say a little prayer over it, connect with it, treat it with reverence. Again, connecting with yourself, just like, what am I feeling? What does my body need? Listening to the subtleties, listening to our senses. We have a whole other language here that we typically don't really acknowledge because we're living here. Because again, it's kind of just like the way we operate in society. Odin's making an appearance. He's looking to connect. Connect with community. We are biologically wired for social connection. And so it's really good at opening our hearts and to finding that with other people as well, connecting with the earth, again, females, we live in cycles. The earth is a cyclical thing, right? So yeah, just like taking the microdose, going sitting under a tree, and the mycelium network again is like the OG internet, sending out messages through the mycelium. You know, that might sound woo woo or not, but like I don't know. I like doing that stuff. I like feeling connected to Earth any way I can, supported by Earth. And you know, if it feels right to you, connecting with a higher power, whatever you want to call that, God, universe, nature, um, it just that personally gives me comfort beyond just my individual self here. It gives me more deeper meaning and purpose. So I've talked about this one a good bit, integration, just bridging the gap between the insights we get from microdosing, the aha moments, and every day. And so again, the medicine will open up the doors. It's up to us to walk through it. And so what it usually looks like, right? We become aware of it. It opens up the doors. We have to take action. We have to be able to create new habits, create new routines, create that art. If we get like, oh my gosh, I want to create this art piece. Well, we actually have to create that art piece, right? If we're looking for safety in our nervous system, actually working with the medicine and doing some nervous system tools, some breath work. If we're looking for clarity and like maybe our subconscious mind, like we're gonna have to journal it out and like get to see that part of us that's running the show. And again, just repatterning, right? Our brains are open for programming, using repetition, using you know, just thinking of it again as that gardener metaphor of like picking out the old stuff and creating new trails and walking those new trails so that it becomes easier and easier to take that new path. And again, accountability or working with coach or working with community to help you integrate. There's usually blind spots. There's usually some tough stuff that comes up. So it's much easier to not take this route alone. I kind of touched on my personal experience, but like I'm always getting ideas of like something to create or something to do, and then like I don't do it and it goes away, and it's just like I lost my motivation. So it helps me to actually like bring it to life and to bring that energy from my head to my body to manifest it. Cool. All right. I think I've only got a few more slides. Last key, using a guide or a container. I've touched upon this. It's an amplifier and an aptogen. So this is really cool. Everybody's experience is going to be different. It is unique to your system. So you react different to, you know, it's not like marijuana where certain strains have like certain effects. It's like literally adapting to your system. And again, it also amplifies what's going on. So you might get really tired if you microdose, and that usually is a sign that you need rest. You need to rest. You might get a little bit anxious, and that's like, where are you experiencing anxiety in your life, and how can we address it and work through it? So it can feel raw, it can feel vulnerable. It's very good to have, you know, a coach, a therapist, community, someone to help guide you through that, especially if it is sticky and raw. It's great to have accountability. It's great to create a safe space, somewhere where you feel safe to do all this heavy work if it's heavy for you. And, you know, somebody who can help you create safety in your body. A lot of us don't have the tools to feel safe in our body or the tools to regulate. So it's great to have somebody help you build that safety so that you are empowered yourself. And again, just helping you integrate any of the downloads or insights or things that are coming up. So if you're feeling the call to go deeper, I do have a medicine program that I offer both in one-on-one and group. And I've kind of touched on some of, I think, the things that I specialize in, but neuroscience, nervous system tools, psychology, spiritual wisdom, and bringing it to a group. Then you get the aspect of collective healing and getting to be witnessed by others on the same journey and learn from their experiences and get that support from people. If that's, you know, I'm a lone wolfer. I felt alone for a very long time. It's so healing just to be around people who see you and witness you for who you are, whether you come to the call and you are having a hard time that week or like suffering or right, like I'm here for it all. It's not like it's a human experience. Bring it all. I love I love seeing every side of everybody's human experience. So yeah, so that's opening. The group is opening July 3rd. One-on-one is always open. But the goal again is reactivity, survival, conditioning, and moving you into a space where you are in alignment with your highest self. Um, and my approach is very bottom up. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can't move up in life. We can't be creative. We can't, really connect with others through the heart, or like be creative and up here in our higher brain, if our foundation, if our survival needs aren't met. So it starts with nervous system regulation, with our physiological body, homeostasis, rest, sleep, nutrition is so important. And then once we get a better sense of our body and its signals, our language, right, our senses, our feelings, our emotions, we can start to process that more, release the things that no longer serve us, emotions, outdated identities, conditioning that's been placed upon us. And then we start to reclaim what's true to us. How do we want to show up in the world? What is our dream? What does our dream life look like? What are we doing? How are we acting, right? Like, not acting, but how do we show up in the world? And microdosing isn't necessary in this process, but it is very helpful. Week 6, it's in full effect. So again, rewiring, using a lot of subconscious reprogramming techniques, values clarification, um, and just starting to really identify our thought patterns and switching them into new ways of being. And again, connection is huge, connecting to a higher power, living from our heart, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, it'll be Sunday night calls for the group, probably about 75 minutes. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I created a nice resource guide that goes week by week that has got like a lot of psychoeducation and tools and sections and all that in it. There's going to be a messaging group where we can share again, like podcast, books, resources that come up. And yeah, $750 for the 8-week program. And then if you are interested and you feel called, let me know and I'll give you the $100 discount for it. And then there's just some client wins that I've had I wanted to share. You'll see a lot of creativity, compulsive eating or compulsive habits. It's been helpful with that. Gut health, getting off depression meds. I've probably helped 3 people now get off of SSRIs. Again, just getting out of fixating, getting out of the default mode network, creative. Yeah. So I just wanted to show that there's proof to it, not just like making it up. Okay, here we go. 2 more slides. I've talked about the mycelium network. The best documentary on mushrooms, fantastic fungi, is tremendous. And I just wanted to share more resources, but I guess it's not loading. But I have on here How the Body Keeps the Score, great book. How to Change Your Mind. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but they talk about the therapeutic and healing benefits of psychedelics. And Descending the Mountain is awesome for like meditation and mushrooms, ancient ways of being. And perfect. Last slide, Q&A. So if anybody has questions, this is the time. And if not,
I have a question, Allie.
yeah.
Okay, so when you do the microdosing, is it kind of like a reset? Like you don't have to be on it forever. Like if you're, creating neuroplasticity, this should be like helping you form new pathways. And so is it like something that you can benefit from in a short term and then not have to? Or like for those that were on like SSRIs, is something that you have to be on forever?
That's such a good question. Thank you, Heather. Yes, usually honest to God, like most people do it for a month or 2. Like 90 days is usually the max, I say, to be on a protocol and then take a break. Most people get to like week 4, week 6, and they feel pretty good and they like don't need to keep taking it. I myself don't really microdose all that much anymore. I take it pretty intuitively. Like if I want to be focused or creative for a day, but it's certainly not like the goal is like it gets you to where you want to be and you don't need to take it anymore. And I think that's the big difference between this and pharmaceuticals. It's like you're not creating a lifetime client. You're kind of just like getting yourself to homeostasis. It's helping you get there, and so that you're not dependent on it anymore. It's in yeah, it's really cool. It's so non-addictive too. Just crazy that when you think about all the addictive substances, it's like the least addictive. But no, the goal is that you don't really have to keep taking it after a certain amount of time, or just honestly take it intuitively.
And would you say, like someone who's on Adderall, like myself, would I have to continue to take it, or that you had mentioned that you take it on your days that you want to be creative or have motivation? Like for me, sometimes I just need that motivation, and it helps with my depression. But do you think like you would use less Adderall after doing this?
It's dependent, honestly. Like, and I think this is such a beautiful process because it's like, what feels good to you? What does your body tell you? I'm never going to be one to say like taper off your SSRI, don't take this medication, do this, do that. It's kind of like I'm here for you, and I want to empower you to like make your decisions based off your health. Adderall is not a contraindication. I know a lot of people who do both. Danny, in fact, like loves both of it because I think it really helps with her flow state. And yeah, the only like SSRIs with larger doses can be a contraindication, but with microdosing, it's not really a contraindication, but you don't feel the effects of psilocybin as much when you're on an SSRI because they hit the same receptors. And so you can do both at the same time, but most people at that point decide to taper off. And again, I'm not like saying you need to taper off of anything. A lot of people take like Adderall and microdosing don't really interact with each other, whereas SSRIs and microdosing can have an effect where just like they're blunting each other's effects. And so when most people taper, they start with like half a dose, or like 3/4 of a dose, half a dose, a fourth a dose, like over amount, like a couple weeks of time.
Is it blunting effect, or is it more of like a serotonin syndrome type thing where you're getting too much serotonin?
So serotonin syndrome may happen with larger doses, but with microdosing, like serotonin syndrome is not very likely. It's more of just like you're not getting the full effect. You're not getting like, you don't feel the energy or the groundedness of the microdose if you're on SSRIs.
Okay. And sorry, last question.
You're good.
So I don't know if you know much about like, is there any data to support that SSRIs or SNRIs create neuroplasticity, or why is it that the psilocybin does and the other ones that hit the same receptors don't, or maybe they do?
I don't know if it's like I don't think the neuroplasticity is caused by it hitting the serotonin receptor. I think that the neuroplasticity comes from, I do have this like really in-depth PowerPoint. It's like Stream of Biochem. I can take a look at it. That's a great question. But I don't know off the top of my head like how exactly the neural like new neural pathways form or how it lights the brain up like it does. I do know this. I do know this because the visual, it hits the vision. I can get back to you on it. I do have a whole PowerPoint that explains how it works.
Okay.
I do know that like SSRIs, I mean, it seems like they have more of a numbing effect with emotions. The one big difference between SSRIs and microdosing, if you're looking at depression, is SSRIs tend to like, do they tend to numb your emotions or like blunt things, whereas microdosing is kind of on the opposite spectrum where it may bring the emotions to the surface so that you can like feel them and work through it. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that sounds really accurate. That's definitely what that does when I'm on my serotonin for sure.
Yeah, so it's like it's honestly like I always say the only way out is through, right? The only way out is in. So you kind of have to do some excavating if that's the case, and just like what is the root cause of the depression, or like what is the root cause of whatever medication you're taking, rather than like taking the medication, which can sometimes then cause side effect A, and then that causes medication B, which causes side effect C, which it can really get out of hand for a lot of people. So, and not that I know you're a pharmacist, so not trying to bash your industry, but I know a lot of people are like lifetime customers for whatever reason. I don't know, that things that I think they could maybe work through with help. So
No, I definitely agree with not having to take pharmaceuticals if you don't have to. Like think if it wasn't for, my aunt like pushing me to get on one, which I'm really happy she did because it definitely does help me. But like you said, it's blunting it versus dealing with it.
yeah, and like again, your power is in your emotion if you can harness it correctly, or like, um, not being so emotionally reactive or whatever it is, when you're learning to not cope with emotions, but feeling is hard. That's why I cut myself off for a very long time. But it's also our superpower, and you can't experience the full spectrum of life whenever you're blunting the depression or the negative stuff. You don't get the full aspect of life. You don't get the joy and the passion and the great parts of life at that point, because you're just kind of numb to it all. Any other questions? Hopefully it wasn't too science heavy, but I found the PowerPoint, Heather. It's a lot of chemical stuff. Listen. Cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at that if you want
Yeah.
to send it to me. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully you can. I can kind of. I've really been deep diving back into like biochemistry and quantum biology, whatever you want to call it, but like a lot of this goes over my head with the chemical aspect of it. I don't like chemicals. I hate chemistry.
Oh, I love biochem. So yeah, send it.
Yep.
Thanks,
Cool.
Sally.
Yeah, of course.
Great presentation.
Thanks, Ted. Karen, thank you for being here. I don't know if you have any questions, but if not, we can call it wraps. And
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself. No, that was a lot of great information. Definitely want to give it some thought, and I'm sure once I process everything, I'll have some more questions to send over to you. So I appreciate your sharing, and yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you all being here. So, and I can send you the slides too if that helps, because I feel like I talk fast and it's probably a lot of info, but yeah, hopefully it helped or answered a question or two. So
yeah, if you could send it to me too, Allie, I want to send it to a coworker.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, the same. I was on my phone, so it was hard to see. So that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I will send that, and I will send out a recording too of the call. I think it's recorded, so Odin senses it's time to go to the park. All right. Well, yes, if there's no more questions or any comments or anything, we can call it a wraps, and I will let you all go. But again, thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate you. And yeah, I will email over the recording and the slides, and you can just respond back if you have any questions, or we can always hop on a call too, whatever works for you.
That sounds great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allie.
Thank you. Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. It's enough, Odin.